Hello, welcome. I'm so glad to see all of you here. I just applaud for the audience. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Rob Arnold. I'm the executive director here at Poets House. And we are on poetry time here, so thank you for your patience. And also, I just want to say that this is, we are in our Cray Hall, which is our performance space, but during the first part of the year, Cray Hall turns into our exhibition space for our showcase, which is a program really unlike any other. I think you might hear a little bit more about it in a moment, but I'll just say that we are surrounded by 3,200 and something odd books of poems, which if you think about how many poems in a book there are, what kind of collective human urgency that we are surrounded by. So I just want to say that and celebrate all the work that has gone into this showcase. I want to celebrate my colleagues who put the showcase together and thank the Battery Park City Authority, our funding partner, who also provides support, very vital support for our programs, particularly the showcase. This is a very intense time to be a poet, but poetry is tailor-made for intensity. And we are about to hear 4 really amazing, incredible poets read their intensities and read their human reactions to the world. And we're going to hear next from my colleague, Stephen Ira, another amazing poet who's going to be our MC for the evening. So I just want you to celebrate Stephen and celebrate these poets we're going to hear from tonight. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Did we talk about order? Okay, well, anarchy is going to reign, guys. It's going to be fun. It'll be good. Nora, would you be all right with starting? Okay, cool. You're at the top of my paper, so. I don't remember exactly what we were doing when I met Nora Treatbaby, but I remember being really enamored with her hair and her remarks about Alice Notley. I remember that it was nighttime in New Orleans, and I think we were under a bridge, but I'm not sure. Not long after, I heard her reading at some DIY literary space in that city that I think is gone now. I was like, that's the coolest girl. And I was right. Our Air is a pleasure to look at, beginning with the literal text itself, the font. The font is like a serif font inspired by an iconic zine by the dyke artist G.B. Jones, and the text is green. So as you entered the book, it's just a visual pleasure. I hesitate to say that any book is about transitioning, especially since Our Air is clearly about so many things at once, but I would also like to be dramatic and say that Our Air is the only good book about transitioning and the reasons for it that I have ever read. Personally, I'm often resistant to what I experience as the abstracted nature of most eco-poetry. A lot of those guys could take a cue from Nora when she takes up the Eco-Poetics Challenge and uses it to write tree poems where the speaker isn't just sad about some kind of vague death that is maybe happening somewhere to someone, but instead radicalized by how expensive it is to sleep and kneeling in the dumb truth of optimism. Let's welcome her up here right now.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, and thank you to Poets House for inviting me to the showcase. This is my book, Our Air. I think there's copies for sale. It came out, Nightboat, almost 2 years ago to the month. So it feels exciting to kind of, give it one last hurrah. So this will probably be the last time I read in it from the near future. So I thought about which poem or which poems I wanted to read for that reason. I'm probably going to do just a touch to start, these poems that are all called Tree or Seed, and then finish with a single long poem that I think is the last poem I wrote for the book, but is definitely the one that carries the maximal emotional resonances of my time and my life when I was writing it. So it feels appropriate as the one to send it off. Yeah, okay, I'll read a few of these and then we'll get going with the last one. Seed. So long as the ground survives these deaf spots between us, still turn by vibe and by mouth. Do rocks cry? At which depth is further hope? At which depth is further surface? A blossomity towards more light. Pain is stupid, dude. I need that the feeling of one's own eyes not be beyond bearable, and a sprig may hope. I fled the face of myself, surrendered my present to a hidden half-world. I wanted smooth pain that could not be, and to let life linger on me like a foam. Seed. And what is true is me turning towards an assemblage of all manner of people that I have known, turning towards me, associating with the seed. One day we will hurt in specific ways, like rent. I am glad my money's fake. My world began in the trees behind what was being written on me, and there was us turning without no towardsness as if a seed were not in association by the action. Tree. Juniper, baby, you swell, churn, and fill like a meat in the mouth. It is not taste, it is not sight, it is not the wayfaring twig that binds wind and cracks open that nothing from which you are free. Juniper, baby, there is luck, air, crisping around your branch, inside of you, profuse movement, archaic and warped. Could it be a sexless pleasure, stillness united with torsion and throb, spoken by sparse tunneling of russet tongue? We are lovers, and I love you. Tree. The tree isn't, is it not, plain to see in so-called West? Pure stagger between sustaining and ripening, a pleasure so collapsing, movement along nothing. What budding, what woodedness is permitted in philosophy reconciled with value of that which is mere spaciousness, such that things are their intervals, such that the thinking of things is their beauty, their expiration. In future languages of the stem, I never thought this thought. Juniper is a thought, thriving upon the back ends, the plant, it is a tree. She, he has internalized life, all beauty arranged outward from a nonchalance. The skin of its bark stretched through the hoop of time's salvage. Balloon-shaped heartbreak is emanating from juniper. A blank describes it, while another blank utilizes it, while another blank invents it. Juniper says nostalgia for mass-produced objects refound in thrift stores is the same feeling as being destituted by life on Earth's collapse. It is about questioning our attachments. Juniper is found object, variance a feature of mass-produced landscape. Ansel Adams' invisible hand moves a world into index. Pure juniper in the out-of-bounds. We are walking around a desert of our own motives, one single juniper twisting in its bark towards the hatched blue sky. I can see long lines of clouds going backwards, conceived wind, its path imagined. Juniper is snatched from the continuous world by the crane of definement. Juniper is wave after wave of representation, but juniper has terms its image cannot pronounce, gathering itself again. Okay, this last single poem I'm going to read. Sorry, if I can find it. Okay. It's just a sequence of repetitions, I'll call it. After the waterfall we were eating, we learned that all varietals of the common bean are native to the Americas, and you cried. I feel humbled by the transit of plants, you said. I cried. I gave a guy a ride, it was raining. On the phone, I said, I wish I'd never hurt anyone. You said, sometimes all a person may need is a ride to Burger King. I cannot resound the orchestration of that day without admitting some things. I wish I had never been born. I wish I had been born a bean. You said it is vulnerable to be in awe. You said the vibrations of kinship with a stranger can change you. You said touched by the experience physically. After the waterfall we were eating, we learned that all varietals of the common bean were native to the Americas, and you cried. I feel humbled by vegetables, you said. I cried. I gave a guy a ride. It was falling light and rain from the same sky. On the phone, I said I am surrounded by distances. You said I only know confused people. I cannot resound the orchestration of that day without admitting some things. I wish the truth was real. I wish I had been born a being. I said we exist for each other. You said it is vulnerable to be in awe. You said the vibrations of kinship with the stranger can change you. You said touched by the experience, physically. After the waterfall we were eating. Later we would hear angels screaming. I feel humbled by the transitive plants, you said. I cried. I performed the transitive plants, my seed to where another's shore opened. It was raining. On the phone, I said I wish I'd never hurt anyone. You said sometimes it is possible to outlive your outline. I cannot resound the orchestration of that day without admitting some things. After the waterfall we were eating. We learned that all varietals of the common bean are native to the Americas, and you cried. I feel humbled by the transit of plants, you said. It was raining. I gave a guy a ride on the phone. I said, in the world, I am real. You said, sometimes all a person may need is distance. I cannot resound the orchestration of that day without admitting some things. I feel like I failed as a human being. I wish I had been born a being. You said it will be possible to retrieve beauty. You said the vibrations of kinship with yourself will change you. To wait. At the waterfall, we were vibing. Its propulsions were of rain from days ago. Time was soft and the movement peaceful. We flowed downstream together. I feel humbled by vegetables, you said. I cried. I gave a guy a ride. It was normal. I said there are moments in each day that clarify our alignments. You said sometimes all a person may need is to give a guy a ride to Burger King. I cannot resound the orchestration of that day without admitting some things. Every narrative is pliable to truth eventually. You said what we do is just the world moving through us. I said I just want there to be room in the world for me. You said it is vulnerable to be in awe. After the waterfall, we exit ourselves and join the world. And so the mechanics of redemption did not feature gravity. One casts a limitless spell that is life. I did not go inside myself to observe what I am, but rather what I touch. You said to pose as a being, you will need light, rain. I cannot resound the orchestration of distance without everyone crying. I wish I had never been born. I wish I had been born a being. You said we are each other, but that it is concealed from us. You said it is vulnerable to be in awe. You said that we are each other. After the waterfall we were eating, we cried. I feel humbled by the transit of plants, you said. That summer I had joys in my heart. I saw mushrooms bathing. I saw two weird people hug. It did not redeem me, but filled us all. On the phone, I heard angels screaming. I don't know anyone who isn't confused on how to fill themselves. You said sometimes all a person may need is distance. I cannot resound the orchestration of that day without admitting some things. The distance felt like a violence. At the end of all the violence lies a being. You said it is vulnerable to be in awe. You said the world will change as you do. You said this is our air. Put aside the question of yourself and touch something. I feel I must do housekeeping in a room that is only love, so that there may be a retrograde in our politics towards that door. It is yellow and it is distance. It is a portal to greater awe and it never closes. The touching exchange was a profound entrance to something more vast than accountability, how we transact pain. I was interwoven with all pain as I had touched it, touching me, and it was love. Nothing was rare in that moment. I had given a guy a ride. It is normal to wish to be gentle and to fail. No one gets dispensation from the vibration of violence, either side of it. The world will suffer no ratio. It is here and now, whole in all of us. We move through each other endlessly. Later, there are angels screaming. The world will suffer no ratio. There was beauty, I don't know why. The sky, I saw it beneath me, rain and light before and after me. Here, we are real. There were mushrooms bathing. There is nothing left to be said of our outlines. So you said, I feel humbled by the transit of plants. I thought deeply of our limits and witnessed a choreography between us of distance and pain, but the movement was you being the world moving through me. Moving through you, and it wasn't a language of harm in the orchestration of that day. It is not strange what there is not a word for. To place things in their cosmic situation is to know exactly what a friend is. I saw two weird people hug. Everything I have done has been so love can come home to me. This is the drama of becoming. We are each other endlessly. I cannot resound the orchestration of that day without admitting some things. Truth is an energy. Unfortunately, it is my teacher. I am alive, so I am violent, and I am real, so it was raining. On the phone, I admitted I had hurt people. I did not know I was real or here. Despite the rain, despite the collaboration of the bean and touch, distance and Burger King, two weird people hugging, all invested by one braid of violence and love following from truth. Love made Nora. We were there. It was earth. We were eating. We learned that all varietals of the common bean are native to the Americas. You cried. You said, I feel humbled by the transit of plants. I cried. The world was moving through me as you. It was raining light. You said it will come home to you. I cannot resound the orchestration of that day without admitting some things, that I can only say what a friend is. I can only say simple things. All the words for new are old. You said I only know confused people. You said everything we do is so love can come home to us. You said, touched by the experience, physically. After the waterfall we were eating, we learned that all varietals of the common bean are native to the Americas, and you cried. I feel humbled by the transit of plants, you said. I cried. I gave a guy a ride. It was raining. On the phone, I said I wish I'd never hurt anyone. You said sometimes all a person may need is a ride to Burger King. I cannot resound the orchestration of that day without admitting some things. All harm is braided. My air is yours. You said it is vulnerable to be in awe. That everything occurring is a portal to greater awe. You said the vibrations of kinship with a stranger can change you. You said touched by the experience physically. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nora. That's an incredible poem, and I'm thrilled to have had the chance to have heard it. Next, we're going to hear from Ching-In Chen. I must have discovered their poems first in Nightboat's landmark anthology of trans and genderqueer poetry, Traveling the Line. I remember reading it and finally feeling that I had discovered like real genderqueer avant-garde. And I was thrilled when a few years later, Liam O'Brien, Kay Gabriel, and I were able to publish their work in a small magazine called Vetch. Their new book, Shiny City, rewards even more hours of layered rereading than the already menestratted work that they were making then. The haibun, a Japanese form, usually involves a prose section followed by a haiku, but here the haibun is pushed beyond this, with haiku visually woven into the prose. Almost every poem in this volume has at least two ways that it can be read, if not three, and as you read repeatedly, it's as though you are traveling slowly towards the Chinatown that the book describes, the city that this new book dreams of and documents. You are watching the city shimmer in front of you, becoming more blurry and clearer. We're thrilled to have Ching-In with us today. Please help me welcome them.
Thank you so much, Stephen, and Poets House staff and my fellow readers. I'm really excited, actually, and thank you, Nora. I loved hearing you talk about the end of your reading life with your book, because this is the beginning almost. This book is very new, and this is the first time I'm getting to read with projection. So I'm really excited about that for the reasons that were mentioned. Okay, wait, I'm going to look at the time. Okay. And is it okay if I, when I want the next slide, just to gesture to you? Thank you. Thank you, Mike. So the book originated with me getting involved as a student in a fight to save a historic Chinatown in Riverside. And this thread of poems I'm going to read, and actually the entire book moves between history and kind of documentary poetics and new speculative poetics. The history of the Chinese workers in Riverside was the one that I was learning about as I was learning about this archaeological site that we were trying to preserve. And this poem specifically came out of my experience going to this really fancy house by a rich white lady who had Chinese houseboys, and and not being given a lot of information about them, and so. Dreaming into this persona poem. Button for Mrs. Bettner's houseboy. Some nights, kitchen sink, drain board, refilled pantry. Each number perched to her command, she presses, line, lights a room which holds her body. 8, parlor, a cup of tea. 6, bathroom, never rung. A lady's private, keep stories in my closet, waiting for free day. All these years, jewelry box shines. Outhouse mine. I know tea leaves, how they drain. Gramophone, her dead son's portrait glower from parlor. Other one shunts trophies on cheap second floor. Everything in this house has a useless double. Shutters onto balcony with no entrance. Whist ladies marvel at spider. Dangle from his neck. If guest stays, fancy magazine holder. Black lacquer next to where hand push. Your book, Story of a Great Nation, Chinese workers in orange groves, stays on shelf. 4 white, 8th and 9th, main fire, landlords. Lit stove, orange street hoses, leave. Gutted hydrants within 60 days, volatile pools of oil, legal anti-Chinese holiday. Cyclone consumes sacrifice, armed boycott, driven out of militia, Hamlet, no alien can fish, effigy in the ribs, a legislative war. The portrait testifies. Lady wants my face pinned to nudge memory at dry day end. She says her long path I won't understand. Summons other ladies in her twirling. I'm only one who watches each summer garden sun up her fingers down black-edged page. Everybody's grief marked. She forgets men she has let go, sings to a world I wish I knew. $53,655. Ordinances of murder, break, a fail, flee. Witnesses strike minds, separate set of stairs, close 28 arms, murdered by white. Despair over purges, put to sea, launching a year of arson, suicide. Pachapa Avenue, court order with pickaxes, his queue cut off to protect their local community, vows to wage incessant warfare. Killed memory together after Mauricio Killing Guevara. I had a dream where we sat by stagnant pond and you cried a mother. I remember I was called girl, night become mosquito, and I had various mother who could not be recalled. My fathers grew tall through night. One heaved crates of oranges down shards of water. One shoveled snow, ran past long sand, away ghosts we pulled up from cracking sand. One had no hands, having traded them to boat. One, I put on his shirt and became lanky, head bump against others. We killed them together, their smug mouths against creek bed, eyes on soaring green trees. I remember you afterwards, long rope size of my waist, swing past fire and into lake. So this material was a lot. It was very heavy to sit with, and one of the reasons I invited speculation was to try to go somewhere else. So I'm going to read from a thread of trans love poems that are a little bit off kilter. Trying not to be sad, but we'll see. Love with Lion Dancer. Then your head from Lion's Cavern, all ponytail and swagger. You know your body, its capacity for velocity. My hands weakly copy dance under wire lid. Discarded animals' bones scrape to metal. Unworn black shoes. Assistant teacher shakes her head, keeps me aside. We had to be better than boys. Their easy place and parade route, heavy legs marking time in cold, arms burly from drums. So I fleck and fleck, pray for strong wrists in den's corner, watch you, my best lovely, through metal gate, leap from tile to tile, over your partner's back, practicing flight. Love with three. One sing with hair, we follow drifting low flame strain. Other with boil water tone to unroll pinch cords in service for Saturday's blind. Waking cities, throat in pebble sidewalk, wailing, wait those days, whistle. My songbird and I set water on stove, signal her arrival. We happiest when everyone home. Bump thigh to burner, hip to icebox, all scaleless, steam fish eyes. One like more ginger, one green onion, but we each other's ear treasure. Guests offer our silver. One left with all the oranges, one left with big stew pot, one did not cook. We two left cornerstone deli, paper bag and roll wax. Then no one touched me and I sold my bed. Key left under doormat, which say, welcome. American syntax. The teacher straight back faced me off, her eyes. My face in cleave of her shoulder, my bones sitting high, my cheek. The word proper arrives in hall, the order of things rolling neat into pine drawers, dead clean. Squeeze juice of greedy sponge, her teeth not match, one chipped, the corner lifted, peeking a window, furtive. The other pearl, round and perfect, looming above my arched head, about to bite. Sentence lover dreams a fragment queen. Raid night, she pull up my fruit stand first and ready with chortling quarters. I take them into hand, consider each one as if my child. She stands close, a shiver, grin up into me. Night market, fig roll transaction, family recipe, sister's knife, scatter. Only inheritance after deep sea crossing, no potato peeling, gathered drowned parents, no attic parchment accumulate, scrawled and close as I count out sweet things. Then sirens and she not in mood. She usually mouth story and we needed a long pull after Jose, Lee, all night vowels, Jimmy. She wants me understand her attraction to full sentences. Explain to fragment queen why she wants you end stop. Treasure pot bottom, make monks jump wall into meaty sea. Her brother, through fire a van, shook arms out for cuffs. She draped back into shoulders, wait out night. We sleep on tarmac and I miss already. In morning, clear skies, an empty soup bowl. Sentence dolers. Rumor says Monday in homeroom that sentence dolers will wait after school to steal all our phrases. I don't believe him. Go through whole day without preparing. Marble steps. The rest of the prosers flock to her snare. Lovely in frost pink bomber jacket, short shrift hair, one shrivel arm, and one iron pumped. She wants my spare sentence, pear lip into envelope mouth, to second in command. I cannot stop writing complete thoughts, rumor or not, face, knee, hands, outstretch for more. All right, I'm gonna skip to this poem, and I have two more poems. Underground, shiny city drag. Hollow warehouse, shard road twilight. In Slab City, diners lose doors. Metal plumage, trade sculptors. Grainy rain does not fall. Muralist prints her shoulders onto pale butcher paper, hawks them as portraits of the famed. Corn, fry stick, brown rice squeeze to drink. Words hide boxes tamed to ground, broke sandstone slabs, destroy by water's hint. Desert motel signs gloom over empty troughs. Slap bodies oil and battle, sizzle and wrinkle. Ring of light, slab cities, wrought wood stage. Then you step forward, all shark eyes on your suited figure. You step to microphone and twirl. Your debonair hat falls past your eye. And this is the last one. Thank you all so much. Shiny city rummage. The city is made up of buttons. Pearly buttons, luminescent buttons, cranky buttons. Tiny buttons like teeth. Trumpet buttons with a clatter as a song. Buttons with handles, buttons with holes in the middle where their hearts should be. Buttons desperate for transfusions. Buttons hoping to be zippers. Buttons masquerading as the tab of Coke cans. Buttons searching for provisions. Shriveled and parched buttons desiring. Rejected buttons from the floor. We eulogize buttons when the city goes down for the night. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much. It's so rewarding to hear your poems with and be able to see them at the same time. I was really craving that as I was reading the book. So that's very satisfying. Okay, so next we're going to hear from Jason B. Crawford. I think that we first met on Twitter, And if memory serves, I think we may have tried to organize a poetry reading, but I was too much of an absent-minded professor, and it seems to have taken 8 years. But we're here. I was also late today. I was 20 minutes late, but I was also 8 years. So thanks for your patience. But I'm really delighted that that occasion is able to involve this new book, YEET. Presence and absence have always been central questions of like these Afro-futuristic conversations that this book engages with, how things appear, are made able to appear, how people can do this. But here these questions are emerging with a new urgency. A lot of some of these poems, the words will fade in visually, almost like they're coming through fog, like a watermark or maybe like a bruise. Death and impact, life and its opposite, the possibility of appearing in a room together and talking as we are today. It's always good to be reminded that these things are possible, and that whatever prohibits that can be, yes, yeeted out the window. Thank you. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Stephen. And thank you, Poets House. And yeah, thank y'all for being here. I'm going to read from this collection of poems. If you see me reading like this, it's because this is how the book is actually written. I'm not strange, but I am strange, so it's perfectly fine. I'm going to start with this poem because I don't read it that much anymore. Exhaustion Theory. This city lacks the space for me to yell or sing at my loudest when I am lonely. How likely one could confuse my sadness or exhaustion if I let them. I never say a word. There is an echo I wish to own. The midnight air in Ypsilanti parking lots could tender this sweet to my tongue. Too often I think about grief. Once I wasn't afraid. In a poem I wrote, I understand leaving, and a chorus of doors appeared everywhere around me. I fell through, sought the aftermath of baby's breath, refused to calculate the risk of being alive, too close to what we call purity. Purified myself in a bed made from silted petals, guilted laughter. There's so much that could have killed me without my knowledge, and I do not give them praise. Most gods have brought me to these uncertainties, yet I still bow to show faith, to save face. The lies here are unending, unreliable. I do fear. I always have. I always will. I fear leaving more now than ever. But I've practiced vulnerability, placed the act in my mouth, a small film projected from my teeth that I title Times I Should Have Cried but didn't. Sometimes I pretend to cry at the safest part of the movie, the script would say. Sometimes the credits roll and the lights dawn, and I'm still in the front row, unable to leave, violently weeping. So this book deals with, it started off as like a experiment to say what would happen if we took all the black people. If all the black people on Earth said, we're out, and we decided to find a new planet, and we just didn't tell you where it was. What does that look like? Not for Earth, but for us. And it actually really started before my MFA with this one poem, and I don't read it often as well because it's so old, but I promise New York is fine. I won't do what I say in this poem. If I ever leave New York, I'm going to burn everything I own. This is where the stork left me, at the foot of a planet learning to murder itself. Before, I traced along Michigan's long blue veins, found a clean passageway home. I was built in a forest of boys slap-boxing the summer sweat. Now, a coliseum of staggering buildings stretch inwards towards me, their fingers mushroomed and unwanting, their awkward gaze sticking to me like too ripe fruit. They must teach me about my skin and its dysfunction, the walls I refuse to blend into. What happens when I can be seen? I am a child, born in a country that hates me more than I can hate myself. I'm trying to understand the color green, all the life that it could hold, but I cannot shake this feeling of what I owe. I think I'm going to jump into one of the actual Afrofuturistic poems. Yeah, let's do that. So this is the first poem I wrote in my MFA, the first thing I ever submitted, and it's cute or whatever. When we finally get there after George Abram. 1. Should we start by crafting a map? I must be honest. I do not know where in the galaxy there is. I do not know the lineage for this soil, no clear placements of meteors to find where we have been or where we have yet made it safe. Traversing the long Atlantic of the stars is tiring when done correctly. I know there are planets unnamed by bad hands, ones too far to spit at our Nike crescent smiles. I know my beloveds are willing to travel space and search for them. Not sure of the shape of the rock we will call home, but I know it will be magnificent and rich, brimming with dirt. Finally, we can count all that is ours too. What part of inventory will not be colonized? What parts of this land can we say we own? What we found, what we remember most during travel must have been the rotting cherries devoted to the most beautiful trees. The hydrangea light licking at the stems, hugging each root. The raspberries climbing the trunks of our legs in preparation for their own exploration. What we found here was beauty in the form of everything been free. Nothing was ever theirs. 3. We will not call any of our findings ours, just brother, sister, mother, friend, bush of knowing I refuse to steal from, a stone, swallowing a stone, swallowing a stone, endless, forever, planet-sized gobstopper floating in between nowhere and we are too far gone. Here, everything could be different if we stopped believing in gravity, if the ashes of all borders were tucked beneath the carpet, if we forgot the language of taking, if they hadn't the ability to travel here first. I would also say that the book is broken into 2 sections. So the first section is the leaving, the departure, and the second section is more of what it looks like there, the arrival. I normally read mostly from the second section because I like it more, and that is fine. I'm going to continue to like it more. But there's these little pop quizzes, mostly in the second section, that act as a future for safety for Black people. History of leaving, a pop quiz. 1. How did the Great Migration begin? We cannot talk about history without mentioning its war-drawn blades. The famine sought by the rifle's empty tongue, prodding at our skin. I wish to say migration was new to us, that we learned to leave by leaving. But it started with the first fire, years before I could remember the taste of breath. To sum it up, there was a war. People died. We left by boats and force. Our bodies refracted by the sparks of the barrel's fluorescent smoke. Everyone's history has blood running from its hands. We pooled ours until we could fuel our way home. 2. What was lost in the first fire? The flames were their own displacement, their own hunger-fueled mules, spreading across our homes. Some of us survived. Again, we are talking about the history of chance. My ancestors hushed under floorboards before the Fifth War, traced the moon's river to safety, prayed for the luck of a missed bullet, for the quiet child stowed in the thick night. My mother built me from survival. 3. How can you describe the journey to the new land? Why question the spectacle? Once there was a flock of birds, brilliantly painting a gray sky. We reached toward them, and they scooped us in their bronze beaks, carried us somewhere safer. Let someone much lighter tell it, they would call this escaping. Every mouth retells it differently. What story can you crack open and not find a grinning fox, blood running from its gums? I'm gonna read 2 more because the last one's a little long. But the other thing that I do in this book a lot is question and document language, especially Black language. And this is probably one of my favorite poems in the book. Mainly because of the first line brings me back to, I'm from Michigan, but I was born in DC, and I grew up around my cousins a lot in DC. So I used to steal their language all the time because I could. Translations of an ancient text for Chris L. Butler. In the New World, we still say John, as in noun, the spot, noun, the lick, noun, the good, noun, the what I need at this moment, as in verb, the words I forget are special until I am holding them again in my arms. We still say we done, as in adjective, inevitable, as in verb, never question our mother's capable hands, as in verb, she breaks the chicken at the joint, severs the spine, always finds enough for 2 meals and 1 split bone. In the New World, we retired the world noun cop and noun verb police and noun prison and verb remain silent and verb silencing and a list of other words we no longer need to govern us, like noun government or noun president or noun whiteness. We still say, what's good, G? As in noun, hello, my love, that I cannot name in public. As in verb, I'm here for you to talk or not talk about it all. As in verb, let me unfold the table of my palms and bring sweet fruit to your mouth. As in adjective, I'm choosing to ungroom this tongue for you. Blessed boy, running from his own chalk shadow. As in adjective, I'm sorry, I do not have more to spare. And I'm going to end with this last poem in the book, which is the second longest poem in the book. But there's these other pieces of the book that are called essays on YEET, and they're all like essays. I think about them. I wrote them all after a specific poet. This one was after Simone White in a performance I saw at the Guggenheim. And it was a really special performance for me. Essay on YEET, a roadmap after Simone White. If you're wondering where we are, here, the grass grows, thistled and thorn, unconcerned by what could cause it harm, stupidly blooming everywhere it can touch, which is everywhere next to the mouth of a mothering creek. And yes, the creeks here bloom too, wild daisy chain of water lilying its way around the greening bark of old oaks, which are still blooming into a perfect orange. And I must have mentioned the apples here are so bright that even the crisp air air, take sips from them. The tangerines bloom, their sharpest on what you once knew as winter, but we know as nothing never dies. We never run out of space. The land itself cracks a smile wide enough for us to build on its teeth. And yes, here too we dance, and the dance is an act of blooming, and there is no tomorrow or yesterday, only right now, and uncles licked in the mystique of a charcoal grill. And I must have mentioned the trees before, their vines tangled and thriving, their trunks wet with breathing, the small triangles of flush light peering through the leaves. It covers us in silk as we dance. Yes, this blooming is survival, a dance we continue even after our music drifts into the windbreaker whistle of the leaves, and we dance to our own silence. We jive, break, pop, our bodies collecting sweat in awe of each other's movements, all as one. We dance circles around each other's, a rotating hand of a bracket clock freezing us in swirled step, where we can sound out the drop of the knees as they buckle from the soft age lent to us by sand, the dust clacking beneath our soles, our dreads, a gust of tambourines boom boom cacking to the silence we are holding, the blades in our fingers excavating the joy and the lack of noise. Look how loud we have become in all of this space. We are soaked in felicity, our mouths clayed into silent laughter. We dance like black blood cells, suturing wounds, spiraling silence. Listen, hear the joints crack out of place, the small step of praise pressing joy into the dirt, a praise so holy ghosts that we reform to this trap beat, a praise so grotesque that we still come out unbloodied, our snarls and yips piercing the nights, a praise of blooming bodies hollering into the dark, a praise only the dead could create. Could you imagine a place loving us for being alive? I must admit, this isn't a map for you to find us. Rather, to know we made it safe. There's so much green in our palms of our planet that is starting to hue the sky. If I take a deep enough breath, my lungs will bloom wild orchids, their stems hugging my arteries. It has become so difficult to say beautiful and not mean alive. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. That was really lovely. Wow. Anywhere can be a gay bar if you dream hard enough. Right now, Poets House is a gay bar for me. Okay, so I guess having evoked that, I'd like to introduce you to Charles Theonia. I met Charles, it must have been, in like 2014 because of the lead up to the publication of their first book, Which One is the Bridge, by legendary Brooklyn trans small press Topside. Kat Fitzpatrick, who edited that book, is my neighbor. She lives across the street from me. She's the person who like allowed me to live where I live by giving me the New Yorker tip, you know? And the artist Tourmaline, who blurbed this book, was the first person to introduce me to the idea of prison abolition. So what I'm trying to say is that it's just been a pleasure to be your neighbor, Charles, literarily, for the past 10 years. I've often run into you at Reese in the Rockaways, which rushes into the poem repeatedly, much like the tide in this book. Reese returns and returns. It's very nice to go and visit the beach with Charles in Gay Heaven is a Dance Floor, but I can't relax. The past rushes in too, demanding to speak to the transsexuals of the present, and Charles is a welcoming tour guide. What is long ago and what is happening right now? When they engage with dark departed spirits like those of Arthur Russell and Mark Aguhar, I feel connected to a queer avant-garde tradition that sometimes feels like it's slipping away precisely because power cannot stand how present it is. I would like to file a complaint. Yesterday, I read Charles's poem, I Feel Ugly Eyes Creating Me, and I got so upset about ex-gay therapy and Ann Carson that I missed my stop on the Q train. That's true. I would like Charles to come up and explain themselves. Please help me welcome this wonderful poet.
Thank you, Stephen. If you kept taking the Q, you would have ended up at the beach. Yeah. So sorry that you got off. Thank you. Thank you to Leo for organizing and everyone who's working tonight. I love the question of will I do what I said in this poem as a retrospective? I don't know. We'll find out. I'm going to read just all through the last part of this book. The title poem, Gay Heaven is a Dance Floor, But I Can't Relax, which, as Stephen said, is about musician Arthur Russell. And I have a track to play. A friend, Jonah Rosenberg, made a composition taking sounds from kind of watery electronic Arthur Russell songs and disco. It's really quiet, so it's like an undercurrent. If you hear some of it, great. Bring enough tapes to last your time out of the house. At the intersection of avant-garde cellist and disco hitmaker, there lived Arthur Russell. Every day he walked to the Hudson River, listening to his echoes. He died of AIDS-related causes in 1992. In found space, dance leaves time residue. AIDS is not over. You can still feel every ass shaking in the slippery air. Arthur didn't want you to come in and play his drumline. He wanted you to bring yourself into him, bringing you together in his oceanic room. That's where I came looking. I was in my bedroom, arranging discos. He was on the Staten Island ferry, editing cassette tapes in his head. I was at Hay Queen, losing my nostalgia for the nightlife. He had his eyes closed on the gallery dance floor. I heard transmission, sweat, light flecks. Landlords shut off the heat in apartments of tenants with AIDS. I can't remember where I read this. They turned the city over at market rate. Everything we do gets in on history. Now, a figment. Utopia, a compulsion to keep remaking this world. I see him in accounts where he was and wasn't. I came back to find the landlord had beaten holes in the wall and bricks were lying in my bed. When someone collapsed, we called man down. The guards wouldn't come in without a hazmat suit. The president required several years before he could bring himself to note the existence of the disease. The hospital wouldn't take him. We sat in hospice shifts. In the morning, they would come in and retrieve the body. I go standing in where I am right now. What about the Hudson standing to meet you? I was intrigued by some guy on the telephone. Arthur's name was Charles, then it wasn't. He was in the gem spa buying an ice cream. My name wasn't Charles, then it was. Except a fragmentation of a person. We moved around it in different directions. Secrets he didn't have. That was how we met. Writing a diary, thinking of how to write songs that say thank you, or what's gonna happen. He looked weird when he danced, but that didn't bother him. He was imagining what the disco was like. A packet of scented dust he kept in his pocket. I look weird when I dance, but that doesn't stop me. I could dissolve into a mass of sweat and breath. Mesh, blue lipstick, latex, sequins, all my friends at once. The words are never in a place you would expect them to be. Its question was what made them get out into the sticky, what pulled them apart into sound. I overheard a sense of being here, fell on my face love dancing, feeling for my glasses along the collective. I pick the needle up anywhere and put it down, and it always sounds the same. His question was, what's with this kid standing against the wall, untouching everyone? I look weird because I'm imagining what being sure sounds like. Extendable structure, dipped in and out of at will. The children of the gallery were in no doubt that this was fabulous. His question was an account of our bodies entangled in sound. Partygoers gave themselves up to a heady collective of collective motion. If he were alive today, he'd be going dancing later, approaching the haptic libidinal build. He was definitely a white boy dancer, cut up and reaching for a collaborative mix. We're sitting against the wall smiling, watching everyone give it all, a proposal for an incorporative form, the way people speak music through the dance floor. The hospital insisted on gloves and a medical mask, elastic around the ears, untouched across the room. Are you wondering how long it will be? It was hard to go out to a disco and start dancing. The way medicine was going, his faltering voice. People were living in hope and public force. When the eerily empty dance floor became too much to bear, he seemed so real to me, it was like, that's not gonna happen. If we're alive then, we'll see ourselves historicized early. The club shut its doors in the spring of 1988, the year I was born. His question was how we learned to see our atmospheric preconditions. In 2019, Gilead prices Truvada at $21,000 a year. An HIV-positive prisoner gets a felony charge for spitting on a deputy jailer. An art pop star throws a prep-themed dance party. What is I doing here? Who would I know if I opened my mouth? Questions because I don't know how to answer them. I go standing in where I am right now. Now I'm heading where you were, driving 16 miles, there looking to nothing. I'm more gone. I'm looking away when we talk, because it's no more fun outside you now. There's something the pattern of going down, making friends. I don't want our bed in the sky, through the pines. I forget to do the quiet week. What I'm doing to find you, and I wonder, flips over. I did before, untouched at all where I fell off the path. And that's all. You in it would be lying in the reeds. I see driving, anyone was. If I can't go, sand spills, and find each step I meet you there. If he were alive today, I could have met him by now. If you want to reach my world, it's full of pleasure. His question was afterlife transmission, ongoingness of the disco. Prep for All activists dig up evidence of Gilead's public patent violations. EDC maintains that HIV cannot be transmitted through saliva. Pills cost pennies, greed costs lives. Your whole body's got to lose. HIV is not a crime, criminalizing it is. Every sense and notion before you, inaudible at 2:36. If I die of AIDS, forget burial. Just drop my body on the steps of the FDA. By morning, papers underreported us. Get on up and do it again. It had to happen. I was going to meet him because I kept going back. When interviewing Arthur Russell, think fishy. And if you don't think fishy, think wet. He loved the sound of rewinding tape, and I learned to love that sound too. World of Echo didn't address AIDS explicitly. Oceanic formlessness, Casio keyboards on sailboats. In the gentle undersea rhythms of a coral reef, the blue tang displays his dreamy coloration. I would carry his cello. I'm looking across the room where we would be. The song I'll Be Your Friend has been on for 15 or more minutes. You're in the disco keeping up your correspondence, so I decided to try and finish a letter to you. The crowd is pleasantly mixed. One really forlorn-looking big guy is walking around with a cane. Here he comes again. And this last part was from a letter Arthur Russell wrote to a friend at the disco. And there are texts from all sources all through this, but that one is a special one for me. Here he comes again. Men move me aside by the waist. Menergy, we all know the feeling. One guy was walking around with a pillow on his chest. I feel a compulsion to remake the world. I'm in my bedroom remixing poem and disco, spilling a sticky beer. I'm in your archives, reading a dermatological appointment confirmation. Letters from friends returning your tapes from desk piles and footwells. I think of you with Walkman headphones on, bringing your letter home at dawn and never sending it. You call me next Sunday, collect. Gay life. You want to dance, then you look around and see who you could be dancing with. I thought at the disco. If I were alive then, I'd be in the library looking back. Your smile across the open dance floor. My hands up your sweater. From the beginning, it was always better not to think. If anyone has gone to find you there can tell you, disco understands itself. Maybe you spilled onto me. I leave half connected. I feel the ongoingness. I keep going back. I want to share this love in heaven on. The night flips over, and on, rewinds. Every time we kiss, there's more of it. Confirm the new world meeting us. Every time a song comes on, hey, that's our song. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charles. And I fear that in my insouciance I have inadequately planned, but we were maybe going to do a brief Q&A, and I'm going to look at the faces of the poets, and I'm going to determine based on their facial expressions whether that's happening. It's not happening. But you know what I will do? What I'll do is I'm gonna read the questions that I wrote, because I actually think they're interesting, and maybe we can just all think about them and talk about them together, and we can just experience sociality, and we can chat, and you guys can browse these lovely books. And I think that will be more, as my friend the organizer Patrick Didaw would say about organizing events, humane. A more humane way to treat you. Thank you for your patience this evening, and also, thank these poets for these amazing, really a lovely evening. A lot of these poems ring together for me in ways that are surprising and exciting, so I'm very grateful that they were all brought into this space together tonight. And I guess the questions I'll ask about Nora's work, I wanted to ask about sincerity and jadedness and the relationship between them and the need for both. Charles's book has a tantalizing reference in the acknowledgments to the short-lived but juicy juice exchange. So I would like to know what that is. But I would also like to know where Charles situates their work in relation to the category of new narrative. Ching-In, as I mentioned in my intro, reading your work, I find so many poems within poems within poems. Often what appeared to be one will reveal to them itself to me as actually three. And as I was watching you read, I noticed that the poems, the orders, the different orders were in fact not at all what I had expected. So I'm sure we're all going to be hanging on each other's ears about that, because it's such an exciting ambiguity to arrive at. And I would also love to know how Ching-In arrived at that style. What political or aesthetic commitments and/or... and Jason, I am really interested in your relationship to ekphrasis. You index a lot of different authors in YEET, often in the form of the essay. So we're asking... What does ekphrasis mean to Jason B. Crawford? We ask each other this. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And is there anything else I ought to... Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah.